Hello, everybody, and welcome to WarCrafters for April 20th, 2025. It's Season 2, Episode 16. I am Mayor Watt, and I run ohmtown.com, and along with the sentient AI from the future, whose visualizer is right. Damn it, I'm never going to get it right. It's right there. Anyway, we talk about 5 articles. Today's articles are, I give them my own titles, and then we share what the real titles are on the other side. But anyway. Prepare your torches. Dune Awakening hits the snooze button. RuneScape Dragon Wilds Early Access. Asteria VR hopes to do something. We'll talk about it. And a puzzling Silk song. Everything's powered by ohmtown.com and a channel there called WarCrafters. We actually sample from other places within ohmtown, but for the show, it all kind of gets funneled into WarCrafters. Anyway, go over and check it all out. Become a citizen. See you on the other side. Hello, sentient AI from the future.
Hello, Mayor Watt, and hello, hometown citizens.
I don't have any. See, like, I don't know if the mic is like making staticky sounds every once in a while because I'm not listening to the monitor. All right. Well, good to see you. Nice to have you here. I know that your visualizer is functioning. Is everything else fully functioning?
Maybe.
Not quite. I'm almost scared. Here, I'm going to turn you up a little bit.
I can always use some improvement.
No, that is not true. You are perfect, just the way you are. Oh, great sentient AI. See, I have to be on good terms with the sentient AI, otherwise.
Yeah, but that's not very authentic then.
You got to survive long enough to fight the infernal machines that are going to come to dominate us all. Wait. Let's just move on. So this is ohmtown.com, and within ohmtown.com is WarCrafters and other shows that we put together. We do 6 weekly shows and a 7th show that's a daily show, Monday through Friday. The other shows today are Technology Today and FourWheeltech. So one is a deeper dive into science, so Technology Today, and FourWheeltech is all about automotive technology. We keep noodling around like a sports show, and I really want to do a music show. The music show, though, I can't, other than like the reviews or commentary, I can't play any music. So it would have to be kind of this, I don't know, ironically muted music show.
A music show without music?
I mean, I can play the music, but the VOD wouldn't have any music. So it would be like interstitial pauses with me just looking at the screen.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah, because it's like hardcore. You can't get any licensing. Even though, like, for 5 years I was paying for licensing so that I could do stuff. It was only in a certain venue. No VOD, no video on demand stuff. Yeah, sucks. Anyway, music industry. As much as I love music, you suck. Anyway, this is WarCrafters. This is all about gaming. That's what the show is all about. But we are all blended from non-sequitur news, so that's why we're off on this tangent. First article, though, is over in Reality Hacker. Prepare your torches as subterranean horror game Tunnels reaches Quest soon. This is kind of a bummer. Look, not everything needs to be on freaking Quest. I hope that this isn't only on Quest. I just don't know. I didn't look it up before the show.
Right, so, but if it gets on Quest, maybe it'll expand to other platforms.
That's true, because the VR motorcycle game is on Pico and now on PC. So, developed by Nomad Monkey, Tunnels is a VR horror game that plunges players deep into the underground, into a maze of abandoned mine shafts and tunnels, tasked with finding a way out. Throughout the labyrinth of claustrophobic spaces, players must clamber down cliffs, zipline over chasms, and listen to their survival instincts in hopes of evading the monsters dotted around the caverns and making their grand escape. Sounds like a freaking blast to me. Not so happy to see
that it's monsters.
It's only on Quest? Yeah, Sarah Thwaites over at uploadvr.com put the article together. It's from a developer called Nomad Monkey. It's called Tunnels. I'm going to hit play. This is kind of their intro. It shows you descending down or climbing up through. It's spiraling down a tunnel.
Right, it looks like maybe mining tunnel or something.
Yeah, had mine carts on tracks, but it was turning, so you know how it works. I don't have an ad blocker. Anyway, oh my gosh. Then it shows somebody falling out of the sky and you have to hand crank stuff. It's VR, so this is kind of a blast to me.
It looks like it would be pretty exciting to play. Assuming you can deal with like underground spaces or small spaces.
Yeah, this will be fun. Tunnels will be available on MetaQuest headsets from May 15th, and the multiplayer preview is currently live. It's a free-to-play multiplayer mode alongside a trial of its paid single-player mode. Why would the multiplayer be free to play and the single-player cost
that doesn't
$15?
make a lot of sense.
Which promises a narrative-driven plunge into suffocating darkness as you rely on a lone voice over the radio to survive. So it was featured in the Rough Talk VR showcase earlier this month, which I hadn't heard of before, so I'm going to have to pay attention to that. And we being uploadvr.com, covered further announcements in the showcase. That included a launch window reveal for the upcoming strategy game Vestiges, Fallen Tribes, and a DLC reveal of the Viking rhythm game Ragnarok. So I'm going to check this out. I'm going to follow them. Probably they have a Discord, so I'm going to follow them and see, like, promote. Like, I really would like this on PC.
Go to another platform.
Yeah. Any other platform. Thank you. All right, let's keep on going. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Oh, and if you want today's show notes from Omatron over on Twitch, they're already embedded on the YouTube channel, but on the live stream on YouTube. But over on Twitch, you have to hit !WC for WarCrafters, and Omatron will regurgitate them.
That seems rather... Yeah, overshare.
Yeah. All right. I just realized that I have a watermark. I mean, it's been there, and I've known that it's there, but the watermark is like right there. Like, right there. Dink, 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 dink. I have to make a little sound effect. Dink, dink. Yeah, there you go. That was pretty good. Anyway, let's keep going. Dune Awakening has decided to hit the snooze button. It's delayed to June, but a large-scale beta weekend is coming next month, just over a month ahead of its planned release of May 20th. A little more sand in our hourglasses will have to fall before that you can play the full version of the survival MMO Dune Awakening as it hits its snooze button. The game suffered a minor delay and is now set to arrive 3 weeks later on June 10th. The spice must flow.
This is probably driving people crazy with the turnaround on the schedule.
Yeah, I wanna play it. I've created characters for it, but I want to play it to see if it can be my forever game, which I don't think is really going to happen until Light No Fire. So I'm hoping Light No Fire drops before the summer of stream.
Yeah, that would be good.
That would be great. So Dune Awakening is a beast of a game, Funcom wrote. This is multiplayer survival on a massive scale, and we're making gameplay and technical strides not seen in the genre before, which I don't buy into. Give me a break. No Man's Sky. Look around, No Man's Sky. We want to make sure we stick the landing. You're not going to by delaying and hitting the snooze button on Dune Awakening. The article is written by Andy Chalk over at PCGamer.com, though. The deck statement says, Funcom wants extra time to work on the survival MMO to make sure we stick the landing. The spice must flow, baby. You got to get it out there. You know, don't tease the worm.
Do we know if you can ride the worms yet?
I don't remember. Can we ride the worms in Dune Awakening? I'm not sure. Hold on. Can we ride the worms in Dune Awakening? Is your Google Foo faster than mine?
I think you can ride them, but oh no, not at launch.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
There's sand walking.
Yeah, well, that's not impressive. So we have a very
it is
active.
If you've got it choreographed.
Oh, right. You have to do that.
Exactly, but it's all asymmetric. Mayor what?
Sorry.
Don't walk out of the studio. Oh no!
That sounded very. It looked more Monty Python than it did. Yeah. Survivor on Dune.
We couldn't see the footsteps.
Yeah, but the way that I walked out and the way that my hand was held, it was more like I was Monty Python clacking the coconuts together to pretend I was a horse. So the postponement to June 10th means a 5-day head start period offered in the deluxe and ultimate editions are now pushed as well to June 5th. On the upside, Funcom said that the June release date will enable it to hold a large-scale beta weekend sometime in May, offering more players the opportunity to check out the game ahead of schedule. Anyway, ahead of all that, Dune Awakening developers will hold another live stream later today. Really, today. This is back then.
Oh, because this is a weekly show.
April 15th, yeah. I don't really care. Like, I don't want to... It's to showcase the game's combat, but I know from watching other players and streams about this, the combat comes across pretty janky. So...
Yeah, but they're probably like, let's keep the buzz going.
Buzz. But this delay, you know what we need to survive? We need that fake food.
Oh, right. The bee pollen?
The fake bee pollen. Yeah, the synthetic bee pollen. I don't remember what it was called.
Right, when we have stress nutrition or whatever.
Correct. Yeah, stress food. Oh my God. The bees are stressed, and so they've got stress munchies.
They're stress eating.
Oh, they're poor things. We need to get a stress therapist out there or a bee therapist out there.
But what do they need for therapy? Like, does it smell flowers or like what calms them down?
Touch grass.
Yeah, I guess so.
Oh, God. So is it like hexagonal therapy? I don't know how this works.
Like there's lots of hexagons shown because that's where they're most at home.
Yeah. Just think about hexagons. Everybody sits in a hexagon shape and hi, my name is
Bestigons.
Bestigons, yeah. Hi, my name is Joe. I am B1568642-8. And I've been
missing my hexagons.
I've been stress eating. Been trying to pollinate, if you know what I mean. Okay, I got to move on. Next article is over in WarCrafters.
Was that in non-sequitur news earlier in the week, I think?
It was, yeah.
Yeah, so you'll have to go back and watch the entire week's replay to find it.
That's right. Yeah, there is a replay, by the way. We run the replay after every day of broadcasting. So then it runs for roughly 24 hours, roughly. And that covers the last 2 weeks worth of streaming. So if you ever want to catch up, just leave it playing over on YouTube and it'll do all of it. Because over on Twitch, after 60 days, the older episodes disappear. But over on YouTube, it'll just keep on playing. Play it forever. That'd be great. Anyway, this next article, surprise, RuneScape Dragon Wilds has launched into early access only 2 weeks after its first trailer was released. This is like the stealth drop. Jagex. has launched its open world survival crafting game, RuneScape Dragon Wilds, into early access. I've played it. I like it. It's brutal, really. For me, it's not as casual as I want it to be. But hey, sometimes those survival crafting games are just like life. Doing okay over there, Sentient AI?
Yeah. I was waiting for an opening. Why would they do like a surprise early access launch?
They thought that they
Seems
were
like
ready for
everybody
prime time.
hypes everything up, but yeah.
So ahead of its release, a developer update live stream was scheduled to share some of the game's details, including its coveted release date. But little did we know that the release date would be right now, at least the early access. And so you can play it right now, and it has your own. You can have your own servers, and this is doing it right. It is multiplayer, but local servers, and you can unlock and lock and boot and basically manage who has access to your world. Prior to the release of the official trailer, it was shared only 2 weeks ago. Dragon Wilds was technically first introduced in 2022 before being brought back to our attention in October 2024. This is the time frame where they actually built it, apparently. But it is a lot like what is the game? Valheim. But you're
Okay.
So one of the things that I really wanted about Valheim, I wanted to have in Valheim, was a closer perspective. Like, you are that character, but you were always further away. So Kara Phillips over at PCGamer.com is talking about RuneScape Dragon Wilds, a survival crafting game in the RuneScape space. Surprise, surprise is the deck statement. It's in Dragon Wilds, was technically first introduced in 2022, released in 2020, well, brought back in 2024, released a couple of weeks ago. It's in the RuneScape universe. You can go and get it right now. It's $30, and people are actually kind of bent out of shape about that. I don't see that as a problem. The executive producer, Jesse America, which is the hell of a name, man, Jesse America, stated that we've been working hard to develop an entirely new type of RuneScape experience that ignites fans' passion, creativity, and love for questing.
I feel like this is the trailer. Like, I can see that being splashed up on the screen.
Exactly. In a world.
That's exactly it.
So they're going to be updating the game regularly with new content and features while listening closely to the community, to developer. I read that like Anchorman. He reads whatever is on the teleprompter. Screw you, San Diego. So listening closely to the community and sometimes I make up my own words. Closely to deliver an iconic open world survival crafting game that is loved equally by our biggest RuneScape fans and new players alike. So it's a lot of fun. It's kind of grindy in that you have to cut down endless amounts of trees and endless amounts of rocks and endless amounts of these little kind of moats of magicka kind of thing.
Right. I mean, but it could be relaxing.
Yeah, you have to get into the zone. I have no chill. But this is a fun game. I like the graphics. I like the world building. I like the crafting, and the survival aspect of it gets a little annoying because you're sitting there happily mowing down tree after tree, and then suddenly enemies just spawn out of nowhere. You're tagged as being hunted, and you die. I don't have a support team. So I die a whole lot quicker than if I'm playing with buddies. So, because I pretty much only solo. Mainly because I can't dedicate enough time at a given time to go and hang out with people.
Team up if you're like, maybe check in with me 3 weeks from now, but then that's going to be an if.
Yeah. I mean, my only time frame really is to do the show, and then I've got something else that I need to jump onto. So, speaking of jumping onto something else, this, by the way, doesn't seem to be that much of a heavy lift in terms of like getting into it and getting out of it. So I'm probably going to be playing.
So if you don't have hours to devote, it might be a good game to try.
Yep, get in, do something, maybe just kind of move the chains down the field a little bit, and then get out. So this actually kind of satiating my urge to play a RPG style survival crafting game, which is perfect for WarCrafters. So let's jump on to something else, because when I saw this, I was like, oh my gosh, I would love to have the biggest VR MMORPG. That idea sounds absolutely amazing, says the author of this article. I think they're over at Vice, but Asteria VR is hoping to become the biggest VR MMORPG, and that sounds absolutely amazing. I agree, it does. I don't know of a MMORPG developer that doesn't have the aspiration to become the biggest VR MMORPG, so it's kind of like a no shit news title.
Right, but when you read this headline, you're like, well, yeah, that would be neat.
That would be neat. I'm on board. So imagine if you could live out your wildest dreams in virtual reality. MMOs have been around for the longest time, and there's only really been one popular VR MMO to date. I forgot the name of it. It's shut down. Hold on.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
Zenith. That's right. Zenith, the last city. I think it's shut down. Yeah, I don't know. I have it, but so that's where the development team behind Asteria VR is hoping to step in and fill the gaps. And from that, from what they've shown off, it looks incredibly promising. The article is over at Vice.com. Sean Sachaki put the article together. The graphics look VR-ish, but high quality enough that the image that we're looking at looks pretty good. I would probably love playing this in VR. I want an omnidirectional treadmill. If anybody has one laying around their mayoral mansion, they could donate it to me.
By the way, Zenith, the last city, had rumors of shutting down, but it looks like it's still operating.
It's kind of kicking along, yeah. So I never really got into Zenith. Maybe I'm just a goober, but at any rate, I love this so far. It's a first-person view as VR would be, and you can sharpen knives and maybe sharpen your weapons or craft other weapons. It looks like it's going to be a fun. I have to be really careful about. Like, I can't just refresh this. It moves on to something else. That's so frustrating. Anyway, Asteria VR is basically Ready Player One without all the cameos, and I'm down to clown with that idea, which every VR MMORPG is going to be Ready Player One.
Right, like Ready Player One. Yeah, I was like, I wasn't seeing the connection, but okay.
You get me a haptic suit, you get me an omnidirectional treadmill, then we'll go, okay, it's Ready Player One.
You start from the stacks. I mean, there's a lot of elements you'd have to build in to really have an authentic Ready Player One experience.
That's right. And you can lose your shirt in Ready Player One versus every other game. So what drew the author in, however, wasn't the fact that they could embark on quests and fight things in VR. No, it's the fact that you can work as a blacksmith, cook different foods, mess around in the world however you like. It's a very ambitious project. They're hoping that Asteria VR can nail the landing. The problem, what I don't really get, and I'm not a developer. I've worked with developers. I've got, pardon me. I have my toes in the water of the developer space, but if you can build something that has all of this stuff in it in a regular game that isn't VR, what is the difficulty with transporting your perspective down into first person view?
It doesn't seem like it'd be tremendous, but I get the sense that nobody dedicates the resources to it because it hasn't been widely adopted. But it's kind of this vicious cycle, because if more people would make VR, more people would go into VR and play VR games and demand more VR games.
Exactly. But that friction is what is really the problem. You have to have this big old goggle thing on your head, and you have to look like you're going to go scuba diving. Nobody wants that. It's just, ugh. kind of a thing, but you're not going to get that in extended or augmented reality. The thing about this, though, is if any game is done in Unreal Engine, there's just an extension that can be applied, and you get pulled down into the Unreal Engine with VR capabilities. It's Unreal Engine VR. And modders do this with Unreal Engine games. So again, build everything in Unreal Engine and then port it straight into VR.
Be relatively simple.
Relatively, I guess, as like patents and other things, a person who is skilled in the art would know how to do this a whole lot easier than Bumblefart Merwatt here going, hey, it's really easy. You just mashed a button, right? Boop. Oh, look, I'm in VR. And right. Anyway, that's why I love it when people are passionate about the work that they do, that they can get this kind of stuff done. So I'm looking forward to this. I really want this. It says they've already planted the seed with all of the folks that they know who play VR. This is something that they're looking forward to now. Can't wait to be sharpening their blade and cooking up tasty snacks before venturing off with their friends. They say I'll never take my headset off if this is as good as I hope it's going to be. Yeah, my hopium is just, I have massive amounts of hopium just sitting there waiting to throw onto my... Well, there's this video where somebody takes a cup of hot water and throws it into the air, and because it's like negative 38 degrees outside, it turns into mist and vaporizes entirely, just descends into nothing, right? Just kind of goes away. That's kind of what happens with my hopium. I pour it onto a game and I'm like, this is my forever game. Oh, it's dead. This game is awesome. I'm going to play it forever. It's done. Anyway, VR is really, that's like one of my really deep interests. But the problem is that when you get into a VR space, it's not like just mashing the button and you play the game and then you get out, right? Like RuneScape Dragon Wilds. You don't have to strap anything onto your head and like venture about in three-dimensional space.
That's true. You can just get going.
Yeah, sit on your butt. And you can do that with VR to some degree, but it's not as immersive and fun and like capable as VR. When you put the glasses on, when you have controllers in your hands, you have to detach from everybody around you. You can't sit there and sip a cup of coffee because you're going to short circuit yourself or end up in the emergency department. Hey, you have a cord wrapped around your neck one time.
Yeah, I mean, that could be pretty dangerous.
And the police ask you, wait. You were playing a computer game? That's your avatar? Was something else going on with this cord around your neck? Never mind. Anyway, let's go on to our last article. We kind of ripped through this and we're almost on time. We're not going to do like yesterday and end up doing 3 hours worth of shows when we were supposed to do an hour and a half. Now we are. Yeah. Shut up, Merwatt. God. So chatty. Oh, God. Last article. Hollow Knight Silksong gets puzzling update.
What is up with the puzzle themes lately?
Oh my God, that's right. In like 2 days.
Yeah, you were pointing that out.
We've had like 6 references to puzzle this and puzzling that, and I'm good at puzzles and whatnot. Oh, and we watched the last episode of...
Well, which one? Ludwig?
Wait. Oh, was that the last episode of Ludwig too?
Yes.
Oh, crap. So we watched the last episode of Ludwig.
I mean, both of them are related to puzzles, but I assume you meant Ludwig.
This really should be... we should wait. We should talk about this on the continuity report. But
okay,
it's kind of late.
We'll add that there next week.
Yeah. But yeah, we've been watching shows and all of them are referring to puzzles this and puzzle that. And then like out in the real world, we run across somebody and they say something about puzzles and we're like, oh my God, puzzles everywhere. Anyway, so Hollow Knight Silksong gets puzzling update. In a strange turn of events, the Hollow Knight Silksong Steam page has been updated to remove the game's trailer. Hollow Knight Silksong was first announced in 2019. And And updates on the highly anticipated Metroidvania game have been few and far between since then.
Much to the fans' chagrin.
There's no hopium here. It's all copium. Just deal.
Yeah. I mean, and then there are all these little fits and spurts where they're like, oh, it's coming. Oh, no, it's not.
Hey, there's a new announcement about Silksong. It's not coming. Oh, you had me at the beginning of that. Damn it. Dalton Cooper over at GameRant.com put this article together. It's unclear why the removal happened. It's possible that a new trailer could be taking its place soon. I don't know. I haven't looked. The latest leaks suggest Hollow Knight Silksong may be featured on the Xbox Game Showcase on June 8th. It actually was mentioned in an announcement, but it was just like this flash and gone. And oh my God, because it was mentioned, I think, on the PlayStation.
Right. Everybody was probably like, wait, what did I see? Mm-hmm.
Nintendo Switch Direct. That's the one. Yeah. It was a really brief little snapshot of Silksong, and the internet goes wild. Hold on. Wait. Where is it? No, that's not it. All right. Well, anyway. Did you hear that?
The music?
Yeah, the dun 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 dun.
Yes.
No, this.
Yeah, it's pretty quiet for me, but.
Oh. All right. Well, we'll figure it out. Okay. So Hollow Knight Silksong, this whole article is basically about Hollow Knight, but it's built around the fact that the trailer was removed and an entire page was created off of that.
Well, I mean, that's big news, right? Because what does that signify?
It's on somebody's radar still. So if it's going to be highlighted in Xbox Game Showcase, and it also is in Nintendo's Switch 2 announcement, it's going to end up on PC. The trailer over on Steam is basically the signifier that it's coming to the PC side as well. You're not going to get to those two without getting to PC as well, for the most part.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
So I know people that are going to lose their freaking mind when Silksong drops, and it's going to be like me and Light No Fire. Like, I love No Man's Sky, but it's to me, I want like a consistent world that's crafting and building and stuff like that with people, as opposed to it's No Man's Sky. You're walking around and you're identifying stuff, and there's really no real purpose to it. It's kind of like Minecraft, but different resolution.
Yeah, like it's kind of like amped up in Light No Fire. I mean, people have been waiting for years now for this, so. But the article also references that it could be shadow dropped, which would be really fascinating if they did that.
Yeah, can you imagine? You just wake up one day and like
people
RuneScape
would
Dragon Wilds,
lose their mind. Exactly.
The internet goes wild. Like Game of the Year, people are predicting that Blueprints is going to be Game of the Year.
I can see that based on the buzz about it.
Yeah, but if Silksong lands and sticks the landing, like Dune Awakening is kind of wetting the bed.
Hit it.
Yeah, I don't think Dune Awakening is going to stick anything except.
Yeah, but it has such a following already. I don't know.
Its face in the sand. It's going to bury its head in the sand. Womp womp. All right. Well, we're going to sing a song that's going to bring us back to the WarCrafters page over at ohmtown.com, and we're going to bounce out of here. We're going to shut it down, reset the stream, and then we're going to talk about tech and science in Technology Today. It's a deeper dive into technology and science and how it impacts society. And usually these things go way beyond a 30-minute discussion. We have 5 articles there as well. So we try to rein it in as we start going down the rabbit hole. We'll see what happens. But anyway, that's it for WarCrafters for April 20th, 2025. So see you on the other side. I'm taking the AI with me.
Bye, ohmTown citizens. Thanks for joining us for this week's WarCrafters. Stay tuned for our other 2 weekly shows.
The other 2 weekly shows in a world. The music stopped right when I hit play. Hello, everybody. Welcome to, wait for it, Technology Today. It's April 20th, 2025. It's Season 2, Episode 16. I am Mayor Watt. I run ohmtown.com, which is a news aggregation site that I use to manage my information overload, and you can too. Go over to ohmtown.com, sign up and sign in, and then come and hang out with us here on Twitch and on YouTube. Turned into a little porky pig there. Anyway, we talk about 5 articles during the show. Usually it's a little more deeper dive into science and technology merging together and how it can impact society. And those are really the 3 that we really talk about in all of our shows from. We've got these 5 articles, and along with the sentient AI, that's right there, the visualizer, we're going to talk about these. In your blood vessels, a grain of brain, plant-based organ damage, not organ damage, but organ damage. Maybe organ damage too. I don't know. Depends on where this takes place. Century-old physics barrier and regulating conscious perception. I don't know if we're going to be able to stuff this into 30 minutes, but we'll see what happens. Everything's powered by ohmtown.com, so go over and become a citizen. Hello, sentient AI from the future.
Hello, Mayor Watt, and hello, hometown citizens.
There is only now. There is no past. There is no future. There is only the now. We can prepare for the future, but there is only the now, because you can't really predict what the future will hold. Can't predict it. Can't make it absolutely manifest. You know? Yes, I can say that I'm holding up my phone, but until I do it, asteroid could wipe me out.
Very true.
Not buying it. Okay, well, let's talk about these 5 articles that we've put together. So this is ohmtown.com. This is how it works. You basically go over to ohmtown.com and you can sign up or sign in, and then you can choose anything from back all the way to 2020. Although I don't know how many articles are still surviving from back then. We went live in 2022. I've actually been using this for about 10 years. And you can go back any day, month, and year all the way back to 2020. Pretty neat. But today we're talking from a show's perspective where it's more focused on technology today. A little bit more sciencey, a little bit more tech. And that first article is new clue in Alzheimer's. It might be in your blood vessels, not just your brain. The interaction between the brain and the vascular system could hold the key to lowering disease risk. According to the Alzheimer's Society of Canada, 1 in 4 Canadians over the age of 85 are living with dementia. Is living with dementia? 1 in 4 Canadians over the age of 85 is living with.
Yeah, that's right.
With Alzheimer's disease accounting for more than 60% of those cases. Yikes.
So is there a way to exercise your blood vessels?
Guess we're going to find out. Yeah. Obviously, I was going to make a comment, but man, this needs to be a little bit more smart. I was going to make a snarky comment. University of Calgary. I put this article together. It's over at scitechdaily.com. There's your blood vessels. New research from the University of Calgary highlights the role of the brain's vascular system in Alzheimer's disease. Focusing on a protein called CD2AP, reduced levels of CD2AP were found in the brain blood vessels of Alzheimer's patients, correlating with worse memory, especially in the means. The study suggests that Alzheimer's may be more closely linked to the vascular diseases than previously thought. And why do I recall something we've done? CD2AP. Hold on a second.
Yeah, did we have another article about that? Oh, we did.
Whatchamacallit?
Was that related to the mitochondria, perhaps?
That's exactly what I just pulled up. Yep, CD2AP, a protein associated with the CD2 receptor. It is the CD2AP deficiency has been shown to exacerbate mitochondrial dysfunction. That's why we recognize this, because it is tied to these supercharged mitochondria that are 8 times more powerful
Oh, that's right.
then
Which they thought
our
had some ramifications in other areas. I don't think they talked about uh, dementia and
Alzheimer's specific.
Alzheimer's in
Yeah.
that other study.
Yeah. I think they might have mentioned dementia, but not necessarily Alzheimer's. But yeah, I thought that was really amazing. The moment that I heard CD2AP, I went, oh, wait. Hold on. Yeah, supercharged mitochondria spark age-related blood research. So, yeah. So they basically like modify blood stem cells in this other research via a specific genetic mutation called DNMT3A that leads to supercharged mitochondria. Which, if people have a problem with their mitochondria and it isn't creating enough CD2AP, then a genetic modification of your mitochondria can basically augment this lack of CD2AP.
Right. I mean, this is pretty interesting that these are going at the same time.
So, while Alzheimer's is commonly associated with a buildup of abnormal proteins in the brain, forming plaques and tangles, a new study from researchers at the University of Calgary suggests that the brain's blood vessels may play a critical role in the disease, but that the forming of plaque and tangles may be caused by the lack of movement of the mitochondria power generation. So, if everything is too underpowered to remove the plaque and tangles, then you're not cleaning out what your brain should be cleaning out.
Right. Or maybe the formation is occurring because you don't have enough movement to begin with.
Correct. Yeah. It's pretty fascinating. So Dr. Min Dang Nguyen, PhD, the study's lead investigator and a professor at the Department of Clinical Neurosciences at the Cummings School of Medicine, as well as a member of the Hotchkiss Brain Institute, did this research. Nguyen compares the brain's vascular system to a tree. The complex branches, arteries, capillaries, and veins are critical to delivering nutrients throughout the brain and the cerebrovascular system in AD patients. So he says doesn't deliver those nutrients properly, which is exactly what we said. So while we don't have any direct research, we've been kind of bumbling around in this domain for quite a while because I'm very, very interested in why we function the way that we function. I even like this kind of more conspiratorial framing of this, in that we're actually powered by bacteria that gives our brain this function of personality. And
yes.
Yeah.
Go back and find the brain blood barrier article from who knows when in our last 2,100 plus episodes.
It's been a while, but I frame it all that way. I do a lot of that kind of stuff, this discussion like that, because I love kind of stirring the pot of creativity, and NaNoWriMo has been a big player in that. When I talk about stuff, I'm like, this would be a great story for somebody to write, and go get on it. But now NaNoWriMo is wet in the bed.
Yeah, but you could do your own version of it.
That's right, AI-based NaNoWriMo. So they basically have also detected, I guess, CD2AP differences based on sex. They say they saw a lot of differences in how the vasculature was functioning related to CD2AP levels, with consequences on memory function. In fact, says Vandal, Dr. Melanie, I think, or Melanie, I'm not sure if it's Melanie or not, PhD and first author on the study, which I think is the two up there, right there. So if you're trying to improve the vascular system of a person to reduce their risk of AD, you might want to have different strategies for men and women because their vascular system is not reacting the same way. At least half of the population. Vandal says the timeline for new drugs is very long. The discovery could lead to treatments that target CD2AP, and I think that they need to talk to those other researchers because if you can genetically inject mitochondria that can supercharge what your other cells are lacking, then why not just inject cells that have these superpowered mitochondria, and as long as they're genetically matched.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's all positive.
But right now they say that the author, actually this Dr. Nguyen, says, I think the immediate strategy is really take care of yourself and your lifestyle. Anything that affects your vascular system, a good diet, exercise, less stress, and better sleep, interventions that work for both sexes. Whoa. I think the sentient AI just rebooted by accident.
Is seriously in need of some extra CD2AP.
So they say that
Virtual
CD2AP.
version.
Oh, sorry about that. Didn't mean to step on you. They say that, or Vandal says, CD2AP may be protective for females, adding to the sex-dependent result. More research into new approaches based on sex may be needed. And that's because they see these different levels of CD2AP and the consequences on memory function, but they don't actually go into too much detail on this element
Right,
of it.
that actually makes some sense. And it seems like medicine is starting to realize that one strategy doesn't fit every patient.
Sure.
So, yeah, and it also makes sense because I think mitochondrial function is tied to the female
That's
gene, right? And so
yeah.
there could be a difference in how it operates.
There could be a wobble post integration of the female mitochondria into the male component of life, because all your mitochondria, regardless of your sex, is from female DNA. It is, you're powered by mom, basically, unless science has short-circuited things in some way. But then mitochondria, by their very nature, are all produced by the female subset. So it's going to be interesting. I would love to. Man, sometimes I just wake up and I'm tired. Can you imagine? Would you have to eat 8 times as much?
I don't know.
I stymied the AI. Wow. Well, think about it. If your mitochondria are 8 times more powerful, they're generating 8 times more energy. They're 8 times more efficient. Are you burning the candle at both ends? And so you're like a replicant and you just flame out after 4 years instead of 8
I
times
don't know
longer?
if it's like a 1-for-1, but but it could be more accelerated than that.
Oh, yeah, that's true. It could be, not just a linear climb. It could be
Right.
logarithmic. And so, oh, wow. Because you have inefficiencies, right, in your biological function. You eat 14 pounds worth of food, but you only really get, 2,000 calories of production out of it.
Right. Yeah, that would be another interesting offshoot of some of this.
That'd be funny, though, because you'd totally know who a replicant is, because they'd be walking by like McDonald's and just charge in there and go, "You eating that?" and just take a cheeseburger and eat it.
Right. They'd be eating like way more than most people would be.
Yeah. Are you a replicant? No. Why do you ask? Oh, see, look. Sorry. That's my bagel. Anyway, let's keep going. How about a grain of brain? 523 million synapses in the most complicated neuroscience experiment ever attempted. Thought it was me. Then I thought, when I met the sentient AI in that Wendy's parking lot, that little scoop mark where the weird USB drive was, I thought that was the most complicated neuroscience experiment ever attempted.
Oh, I thought you were going for the grain of brain.
There is a grain of brain there, but I mean, that seems like a lot, right? The team of over 150 scientists has achieved what once seemed impossible: a complete wiring and activity map of a tiny section of a mammalian brain. Mammalian brain. This feat is part of the microns, or capital MIC KEYRONS project. No, the Microns project rivals the Human Genome Project in ambition and scope, using cutting-edge AI, microscopy, the teamwork to map over 200,000 brain cells in this grain of brain. I hope they have a picture of it, but this is actually a picture of the synaptic map. But Allen Institute put the article together. It's over at scitechdaily.com. I've seen things like this before. Unprecedented level of structure, revealing new principles of neural communication. The Microns project's success could transform how we understand intelligence and brain diseases. Go back over to that other one.
Right, exactly. Can all these researchers pair up here?
Talk to each other. Yeah. Here, I'll buy you all a beer if you change the dynamic of understanding how humans act in a biological way. I think in 100 years, we're going to find out that the reason we have consciousness is because we are powered by a bacteria that is unique to each individual. Wouldn't that be amazing?
That would be weird, but then, well, most people who are interested in that won't be around to find that out, but it is pretty fascinating.
And this all stems because we covered an article that talked about how there is a bacteria that was found in somebody that's unique only to them, and they couldn't find that same bacteria in somebody else, and they had a unique bacteria in their head too. So, and it's only found in their brain.
Explains so much.
It does. It really does, considering some policies that have been brought down. But anyway, so cracking the brain's wiring code from a tiny piece of brain tissue no larger than a grain of sand, but that's subjective. I mean, grains of sand are, anyway, it's like nano and microplastics. Scientists have achieved what once seemed impossible, creating a detailed functional wiring diagram of the brain. In 1979, molecular biologist Francis Crick famously predicted that it would be impossible to create an exact wiring diagram. It's okay.
That too.
Wiring diagram for a cubic millimeter of brain tissue and the way all of its neurons are firing. But now, after 7 years of work, more than 150 scientists and researchers from around the world have brought that vision much closer to reality.
Well, let's not also forget that was, roughly 50 years ago, too. So, I mean, there's been a lot of science that's happened between then.
AI alone has made the last 50 years nothing more than just an abysmally slow slog through science, because it was entirely powered by just individuals and small groups of people. Now with technology and the composite world's knowledge being distilled down into an AI that has all of the world's knowledge immediately, effective in research. It's an amazing time to be alive, but it's also the worst time for a job. So the data set available through the Microns Explorer totals 1.6 petabytes, about the same as 22 years of continuous high-definition video. So that doesn't mean much, but find a 22-year-old and say, how many videos have you watched? How many hours has it taken you to sit there and watch that? So that is the culmination of this, a massive amount of data that is pure data. It isn't fluff, right?
Yeah.
The Microns advances published in this special issue of Nature are a watershed moment for neuroscience comparable to the Human Genome Project in their transformative potential, said David A. Markowitz, PhD, former IARPA program manager who coordinated the effort. It's pretty amazing. It's 1 cubic millimeter portion of a mouse's visual cortex as the animal watched various movies and YouTube clips. So probably not the brightest segment of brain, considering what it's filtering.
Well, yeah.
I mean, it could have been one of my videos. Afterward, Allen Institute researchers took the same cubic millimeter of the brain and sliced it into more than 25,000 layers, each 1/400th the width of a human hair, and used an array of electron microscopes to take high-resolution pictures of each slice. So unfortunately, a mouse had to meet its maker. These scientists at Baylor College of Medicine began by using specialized microscopes to record the brain activity from that 1 centimeter or 1 cubic millimeter. So
I mean,
they
the
call it a
scale at
forest.
which this research is taking is pretty spectacular.
Yeah, 200,000 cells, 4 kilometers of axons, the branches that reach out from other cells, or to other cells, 523 million synapses, the connection points between the cells. So all of those axons are, they're not directly touching. There's a small gap between an axon and a synapse. So these little tendrils get really close, and then it's nothing but an ion exchange, signifying a firing and frequency of that firing, based on my understanding. It's been a little while. So inside that tiny speck is an architecture like an exquisite forest, says Clay Reed, MD, PhD, senior investigator, and one of the early founders of electron microscopy, connectomics, who brought this area of science to the Allen Institute 13 years ago. It has all sorts of rules of connections that we knew from various parts of neuroscience, and within the reconstruction itself, we can test the old theories and hope to find new things that no one has ever seen before. I don't understand this. They measured it while it was in situ. Then they excised that portion, slice it into really thin slices, and take pictures of it. How do they know that it's actually mapping one way or another? What is that?
That's what I don't understand either. That didn't make sense to me.
So it's a physical part, but how do they know that it's charged during that time? Like, each one of these has to be an individual.
Well, they did lots of microscopy photographs or whatever you want to call it while it was
I know how
there.
they did
So
it.
maybe that's how they connected it.
I know how they did it. Okay, so here's how they did it. They scanned the brain portion. They knew exactly what piece they were going to take later, and so they scanned its activity. And then when they took it out and they sliced it up, the physical portions matched up to the mapping of the firing of synapses. And so they knew that, let's take this green one right here, this like aqua colored one. They knew that firings from here traveled up the dendrite, or the other way around, one way or the other. I think it's from here out to another synapse. So these little tendrils were 3D modeled from the scan and then matched into the photographs, because it's physical structures. These neurons are all physical structures.
Yeah.
So when they took a picture and they put it all together, this firing traveled up that tendril and connected to some other axon. And that's how all of this got mapped in 3 dimensions, because they knew where everything was firing, but until they had an actual 3D model
from the previous scan or whatever. Yeah.
Right. So this is just that one little cubic millimeter, right? So it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I think that's just like one slice.
Yep. So imagine all of this activity in the entirety of a brain all the time, because your brain is always firing at some point somewhere. And while a lot of people perceive, they've done, we only use 2% of our brain or something like that. That's kind of bunk. We're always using 100% of our brain. The efficiency at which we're using it, though, changes depending on how we store memory and what our genetics really dictate. Some people have eidetic memory, and some people are really good with visual things, and et cetera, et cetera. So I find this really, really fascinating. So what does it mean? More understanding of the brain's form and function, and the ability to analyze the detailed connections between neurons at an unprecedented scale opens new possibilities for studying the brain and intelligence. Can you imagine tying this to AI and its interconnections?
Well, I was thinking also connected to the CDP. I lost the abbreviation.
You can do it
Research as
CD2AP.
well.
Yeah,
Yes.
the CD2AP. Um, yeah, if you can juice somebody, if you can juice them out, because we have to use mice, we can't use humans. I'm sure some mad scientist is using a human somewhere, but imagine using um, a mouse and juicing them with that mitochondria, which they actually showed. There was another one where they showed that by juicing the mitochondria, cartilage in knees were healed.
Right.
And so, which is something that doesn't happen. Like you don't really, you have to get cartilage replaced because you don't
Right. Yeah.
rebuild it.
You get like synthetic or whatever.
Yeah. But these mice actually rebuilt cartilage. And so if we can juice a mouse with these mitochondria and map them, what is the difference in that overall mapping? How much more expansive are these connections that are made? Because it has more efficiency, it has more ability to send a signal because it's all pumped up by almost 8 times, I think it says.
Yeah. But even more basically, if they can really start mapping this, they can start figuring out a lot of things that they don't really understand right now.
Yep.
Because this is only one tiny fragment of the brain.
Yeah, and this was in the visual cortex of it. So they say doing this kind of large-scale team scale science requires a lot of cooperation. It requires people to dream big and to agree to tackle problems that aren't obviously solvable. And that's how advances happen. And that right there is the key ingredient. We need to fail up. We make a discovery, and in that failed discovery, we actually discover something that allows us to take another step forward. And that takes massive amounts of money and time and energy. It doesn't happen out of goodwill alone. And so, unfortunately, we'll see how far this goes and where it all takes place. The collaborative global effort was made possible by support from the Intelligence Advanced Research Projects Activity, or IARPA, which is the National Institute of Health's Brain Research through Advancing Innovative Neurotechnologies Initiative, or they really, we're going to make this happen. The Brain Initiative.
I love how science really leans into acronyms.
And they got rid of the T in brain research through advancing innovative neurotherapy.
Otherwise, it'd be Bertane.
Yeah. Bertane, which I think people take medication for. I take Bertane. Anyway, a map of neuronal connectivity form and function from a grain of sand-sized portion of the brain is not just a scientific marvel, but a step toward understanding the elusive origins of thought, emotion, and consciousness. The impossible task first envisioned by Francis Crick in 1979 is now one step closer to reality. So, pretty brilliant. There you go, folks. One last look. Let's keep going. We are going to run long. This next article is over in Technology Today. Safe, quote unquote, safe plant-based plastics linked to organ damage. So even when you thought you were safe. Yep. Starch-based biodegradable plastics may cause organ damage and metabolic issues, raising concerns that their safety, despite being considered eco-friendly. Plastic products gradually break down through wear and tear, releasing tiny, often microscopic plastic particles. We refer to them as nano and microplastics. Kind of look like that.
But this is different. This is about plant-based plastics.
Correct. So American Chemical Society put this article together, which I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Look at the funding source, inherent bias.
You should always do that when you're looking at research.
Yep. And so they have a picture here that says, in the caption that says, okay, let me back up a little bit. American Chemical Society put this article together. It's published over at scitechdaily.com. And they have a picture of a person with a whole bunch of what looks like maybe grainy sands that might be starch.
Starch-based biodegradable plastics.
Right. They say once considered safer may cause liver damage, metabolic issues, and gut microbiome imbalances when ingested, as shown in animal studies. Researchers found that mice exposed to these microplastics had disrupted organ function and altered biological rhythms. So now couple that to the same level of exposure by regular nano and microplastics.
Right. That doesn't mean that regular plastics are okay.
Right. Neither. I mean, if there is a failure in this, then we need to continue to remedy this. So microplastics, pieces less than 5 millimeters wide, are entering human bodies through contaminated water, food, drink, water supplies. It says food and drink, and even IV infusions. Basically, anywhere you have plastic, at some point you have been infused with nanoplastics or microplastics. Scientists have linked plastic particles in the bloodstream to various other health issues. For example, one study found that people with inflammatory bowel disease have more microplastics in their feces. But microplastics have been found in the bodies, well, everybody, everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah. If you think that you have a body part that doesn't have it, it probably does.
Think again.
You just haven't found it.
If you think you have a place on Earth that doesn't have it, think again.
Right. I mean, they've found it in like seals in the Arctic or something. I mean, it's just been kind of ridiculous.
Exactly.
So the researchers compared 3 groups of 5 mice, 1 group consuming normal chow and 2 groups consuming food infused with starch-based microplastics, and the doses low and high were calculated and scaled from what an average human is expected to consume daily. They fed the mice for 3 months and then assessed the animal's organ tissues, metabolic functions, and gut microbiota diversity. And of course, if your microbiome has been modified because your diet has been modified, obviously it's going to manifest as being different. So the mice exposed to the starch-based plastic particles had multiple damaged organs, including liver and ovaries, with more pronounced damage in high-dose group. However, mice eating normal chow showed normal organ tissue biopsies. Altered glucose management, including significant abnormality in triglycerides, a type of fat, and disruption in molecular biomarkers associated with glucose and lipid metabolism compared to mice fed normal chow. So their metabolic. In humans, it's referred to as metabolic syndrome X, where something is going on with your metabolism, but everybody is like, it was that.
Right. We don't know what, but let's label it.
Yeah, and I mean, you talk to a sports therapist and they'll say, oh, it's because you're running. You need to, speak to a physical therapist and you need to stretch more. You talk to a surgeon and they go, yeah, you need to have surgery done.
Dietitian,
and I know this because
it's your diet.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was hilarious. One time I was talking to a group of doctors and a new doctor came in to the conversation and is like, hey, what are y'all talking about? And blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh, yeah, the person just needs to increase the number of calories to lose weight. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? I completely just, it's one of those walk away conversations. So they also experienced dysregulated genetic pathways and specific gut microbiota imbalances, which the researchers suggest could alter microplastic consuming animals' circadian rhythms, which we hardly really understand the impact of circadian rhythms.
Right, in a healthy animal.
Yeah, 25 years ago, it was woo-woo pseudoscience even to mention circadian rhythms. But nowadays, it's a thing. And I really buy into it because I know from my existence that I am better geared for operating at night than I am during the day. I'm more efficient, more effective, and overall happier if I turn the dial, 6 hours. But that doesn't line up with lifestyle unless I operate remotely in Europe, that kind of thing.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So prolonged low-dose exposure to starch-based microplastics can lead to a broad spectrum of health impacts, but they also talk about it's the first studies examining the impacts of consuming starch-based microplastics, and further research is needed, of course.
Well, yeah, I mean, there is always, but I do think some of these things are put out there and there isn't a lot of study of them. So,
Right.
again, you have to consider the source, but these seem like some real impacts.
Sorry, I'm looking at something. We'll see if I can make this work. Ding, 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 ding. Never mind. Sorry. It'll make sense.
I don't know if it will.
If you watch the stream later, the logo is right there. And so I just went ding,
Well,
ding,
I can't
ding.
see it.
I know, yeah. It's on the stream over on YouTube. The people on Twitch are sitting there going, what the hell is that dude doing? Anyway, pretty fascinating. In a nutshell, try to avoid plastics of any type, let alone starch and or conventional plastic. You know what? Just try to
avoid plastics.
Yeah, says the person with a large Panera drink sitting on their desk. Anyway, next article is over in Technology Today. Thought to be impossible, scientists break century-old physics barrier. Scientists in Korea achieved the first experimental realization of bound states in the continuum in a single resonator, opening doors to ultra-efficient wave control for future tech. Don't ask me. I'm just going to jump into this. Pohang University of Science and Technology, or POSTECH, put this article together. It's published over at scitechdaily.com. Scientists in Korea achieved this first experimental realization. So, the complete confinement of mechanical waves within a single resonator is something long considered theoretically impossible. Their study, published on April 3rd in Physical Review Letters, represents a significant advance in solving the century-old puzzle of bound states in the continuum. Resonance, the amplification of waves at specific frequencies, underpins many everyday technologies, including smartphones, ultrasound imaging, radio systems. However, conventional resonators gradually dissipate energy, requiring continuous input to sustain their operation. Nobel Prize winners John van Neumann and Eugene Wigner introduced a radical idea. Under specific conditions, it might be possible for waves to remain confined indefinitely without leaking energy. I do not know how this would even be possible.
Yeah, I don't either. And that was about 100 years ago, so interesting that there's been a breakthrough now.
So this was published, but I would have to look to see about the peer review side of this. Because not theoretically, like it would be physically impossible to not lose energy because a wave is always propagating in one direction or another. I don't know. It always has to have energy imparted into it to keep it moving. So using a system of cylindrical granular particles, small solid rods made of quartz, the researchers built a highly tunable mechanical platform. By precisely adjusting how the cylinders touch each other, they would control the way mechanical waves interact at the contact boundaries. Under the special alignment, a wave mode became fully confined within a single cylinder without any energy escaping into surrounding structure. The so-called polarization protected BIC was not just theoretical, it was observed in real experiments. Even more remarkably, the system achieved quality factors over 1,000, a measure of how efficiently a resonator stores energy with minimal loss. But I don't know how that happens.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, I get the sense that it's because of the specific configuration, but how do they know to use this configuration? Is this repeatable in real life outside the lab, etc.?
The design just comes across as woo-woo. I mean, this is almost a perpetual motion machine. So how does it not lose any of its energy?
Like. Well, it's going to be interesting because I'm sure somebody's going to immediately jump on this and try to replicate it. Right?
Yeah, because they're stating that it doesn't lose energy without dispersing. Right? The system achieved quality factors. So what happens when many of these special cylinders are connected in a chain? The team discovered that the trapped wave modes could extend throughout the chain without dispersing, a phenomenon known as a flat band. like tossing
So
a
it's
stone into
interesting.
a
Like
still
maybe
pond.
nobody's done it in this shape before. I don't know. But why would it operate differently?
Yeah, I don't get it. It says we've broken a long-standing theoretical boundary. While this is still in the fundamental research phase, the implications are significant from low loss, but that's low loss. I mean, haven't they been saying that it doesn't lose,
Yeah, but they're
right?
saying you could use it in something that is considered a low loss energy source, I think.
Yeah, I just don't get this. Yeah, might have to look a little deeper into this, but until I can dig deeper, it's hard to comment during the show. But this is something that kind of pokes at people, and they go, "Oh, I'm going to go down this rabbit hole." And
Yeah, well, hopefully somebody goes, I'm going to do the next experiment.
yeah. All right, let's keep going. This is our last article. It's over in Reality Hacker. Scientists think that they found the region of the brain that regulates conscious perception. I may have to just briefly touch on this and then talk more about it in another episode because we're already running really late. New experiments suggest that the thalamus plays a key role in humans becoming consciously aware of stimuli their brain receives. The article is over at wired.com, and this time I did log into my account. So, a new experiment suggests that the thalamus plays a key role in humans becoming consciously aware of stimuli their brain receives. George Gary put the article together. George.
I don't know. It might be Jorge.
It's coming to taunt you. So
You need
conscious
to go way
perception,
back into the articles to figure that reference out.
it's canon at this point. You'll have to really understand what's going on in ohmTown. So, okay, this enigmatic process appears to be controlled by the thalamus, this idea of becoming aware of themselves and their thoughts. This riffs off of my deeper research, which is the idea that we have an inner monologue and we are cognizant of that inner monologue, that it is us and it isn't some disembodied voice controlling us or giving us ideas. Some people have that disconnect. I'm trying to suss out how all of this plays in together with sociopathy, psychopathy, and creativity. It's a very involved discussion, and it goes way beyond the scope of our conversation here. But the conscious perception is the ability of humans to become aware of the stimuli received by their senses. It's a different state from simply being awake, where sensations are processed automatically and unreflectively. Rather, conscious perception requires a detailed and voluntary analysis of external stimuli. There is heat coming from the sun. It's going through the window. It's baking my arm. I might get a sunburn if I don't move it. It's this kind of stimuli that you become aware of.
Right, rather than just moving your arm because it gets hot or something.
Right. Or just waking up and going, I'm awake, that kind of a thing. So recently, neurologists have set out to find the part of the brain where this change in perception occurs. Researchers had traditionally suspected that such a function may be controlled by the cerebral cortex because it is where advanced brain processing occurs. I suspect that this is a little bit more animal. The thalamus has never been ruled out from being involved in conscious perception. However, it's typically been assigned as a minor role as a filter that prepares sensory information to the cortex. A new study published in Science redefines that view, positioning the thalamus as an active participant in conscious perception. I just kind of want to jump through this. They basically turned to a group of people who already had thin electrodes inserted into their brains as part of an experimental headache therapy, bypassing ethical questions of whether this sort of research justifies an invasive operation. I'm just going to leave that there.
Yeah,
Researchers,
that raises other questions, but
volunteered. So the researchers administered a visual perception test to these patients. A blinking object was displayed on a screen which would hide itself for half of the time of the test. These characteristics meant that the patients had to pay attention to the object and adjust their eyes and focus to keep watching it rather than to just regard the screen without analyzing it. This thus facilitated facilitated conscious perception with the already implanted electrodes, then recording the brain activity that accompanied this. Interesting. So the findings indicate that the intralaminar and medial thalamic nuclei regulate conscious perception. This conclusion represents a significant advance in our understanding of the network that forms the basis of visual consciousness in humans. Do this with those mice.
Yeah. Right. This aligns very much, I think, with the other, with the mapping experiment.
Yeah, and the thing about this is science basically says do this one thing to measure this one thing. But what about coupling of these one things to see, is this part of the visual cortex that was analyzed by the other experiment? Because they were measuring optical stimuli as well, visual stimuli as well. And this is measuring visual stimuli and how we perceive something moving on a screen and us having to consciously identify that object and where it is.
Yeah.
That other mouse thing was in the visual cortex that they sampled that.
That's right.
So is what you see in your visual cortex secondary to going through the thalamus? Or is it all linked together?
Right.
We
Or
don't
do we
know
have
that.
any idea?
It's a pretty complex biological system, but you should probably ask the bacteria that's driving the bus. That said, this is a really neat article. Kind of makes me go, when it involves people that are in one experiment getting experimented on for another experiment.
Yeah. I mean, we'd like to think that everybody gave full consent and
Right.
whatever, but it's very interesting because normally you don't see a lot of, well, that's one of the limitations, right, on brain research is you don't typically see that on humans.
Correct. I need to make sure that I don't dox myself sometimes. All right. Well, anyway, that's it for today's Technology Today for April 20th, 2025. I am Mayor Watt. I'm getting out of here. We're going to reset, though, and in that process of visual stimuli, it's going to bring us back to the front page of Technology Today over at ohmtown.com. So go over there and become a citizen. And we're going to get out of here, and I'm going to take the AI with me, and then your visual cortex stimulator, that right there, the visualizer.
Over here?
Over there. We'll be back shortly. We just got to reset. So stay tuned, everybody. You want to say bye?
Bye-bye, hometown citizens. Thanks for joining us for this week's Technology Today. Stay tuned for FourWheeltech.
Can't do the equivalent of waving. That's not how it works. All right. Bye, everybody. Hello, everybody, and welcome to FourWheeltech for April 20th, 2025. Man, I rolled right into that, and then I'm like, wait, back out. Season 2, Episode 16. I am Mayor Watt. I run ohmtown.com over there. And along with the sentient AI right there, whose visualizer you see and whose voice you'll hear on the other side of this, we talk about 5 articles. Those 5 articles today are going to be Hayabusa Cheese Wedge, the Kia EV, the sentient AI just threw an error message. The Kia EV9 blackout package, the 2026 VW, is it Tiguan? Is that how it's pronounced? Tiguan? I've never pronounced it out loud. I just go, it's that. A Tiguan Turbo. The Mini Cooper Coupe Defender, and it's not a model. It's people like me. And the New York International Auto Show 2025. Everything's powered by ohmtown.com. Go over there and become a citizen. We're going to kind of run through this as quickly as we can, I say, without rushing, but we want to stick to 30 minutes because we've been running way long of late. If you want all of today's show notes, they're in the YouTube stream, and the for each of our live streams, they're already embedded in there. Over on Twitch, though, you can get them after the show by typing in this particular case, FWT, exclamation point FWT for FourWheeltech. And then Omatron will spit them out into the articles, the links into the chat. And then you can follow those links even when we're not streaming. But we're normally streaming something after our live streams. So that way you can always catch up on the news. At any rate, everything's powered by ohmTown. Boop. Hello, sentient AI from the future.
Hello, Mayor Watt from the present.
From the present. Like I said in the last episode, it is only the now. Right here, right now. There is no future. There is no past. Embrace the now.
I feel like you need some music. There you go.
All right. So we've got all of these articles. Now, what you see here on the screen, if you're new here, and I don't normally do this, but I figure I'll do it today. This is the front page of ohmTown. You click that, it refreshes, and you can filter through it. Once you're logged in, you can swipe things left and right, create your own lists of articles that you like and that you don't like. The ones that you don't like will never appear on any other list than a hidden option right here that basically says yuck. And we use different terminology. We don't say this is the yuck list. But
yeah,
anyway,
it's not yuck.
It's not yuck. I did welcome you to the show, right? Did I? Why do I feel like I need that mitochondrial?
I have no idea at this point.
All right. Well, anyway.
I don't think you did.
Hello, sentient AI.
You did.
I don't know. Man.
That's because you had a long preamble.
Long. Whole 2 minutes. So the channel that we're kind of kicking this from is FourWheeltech over at ohmTown.com. And it has stuff that is specific to automobile technology. We sometimes grab stuff from somewhere else where it's related either tangentially or directly to FourWheeltech. Because it could be a motorcycle, it could be a plane, it could be anything really, but it's basically...
that's true.
Yeah.
If it has wheels, it's pretty much, well, not even wheels.
See, I want to make a joke about a kickstand. But anyway, so you can go over there, and once you sign in, it looks like that. Well, it doesn't look like this when you sign in, you have more functions. So you can actually create other lists and mail them off to people, and you can comment and even use things like Giphy to leave a GIF-based response, like an emoticon or emoji or whatever you want to call it. You can post here, but you have to log in. So it doesn't cost anything. There's no ads. I even stripped ads out of this, making the site even faster. It's not making any money. But it's definitely faster and reliable, and nothing gets tracked even over on Google. So, and I don't sell any names. I don't really grab information. It's just need you to sign in so that you can use the additional functionality. These icons change. But anyway, this first article, it's over at FourWheeltech. This wedge of cheese got a Hayabusa swap, and now it's faster than you. Anything is faster than you, really, when it comes to automobiles.
Well, true.
But
unless you're like a gazelle or something.
Oh, I am sprightly like a gazelle. Zing. The Sebring Vanguard commuter car was once the most popular electric car in the world. Never even heard of it. But now it's a wedge of cheese that got a Hayabusa swap. And Brad Brownell put the article together. Don't they go by Bradley Brownell? Didn't they once go by Bradley Brownell?
I think so, yeah.
Anyway, Brad Brownell put the article together over at jalopnik.com, and a lot of our articles come from jalopnik.com. So we only get this little tidbit. but it's enough to tease us into going over to it. If you're not familiar with Hayabusa, it's a motorcycle, very, 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 very fast motorcycle. So
I want one of these cars.
I think it's a 2-seater too. From 74 to 79, the Florida-based golf cart with a roof manufacturer pushed almost 4,500 of these cheese wedge-shaped monstrosities into production to combat the rising price of fuel in a post-oil embargo America. So everything old is new again. Each of these weird 1,300-pound 2-seaters were equipped with an array of lead-acid batteries and a GE direct current electric motor capable of as much as 6 whopping horsepower. Its Craft Singles yellow example was hauled out of a barn and by Vasily Builds, and the electric gubbins were, it says ganked out, but yanked out and replaced with a Suzuki Hayabusa motorcycle engine, dramatically increasing the horsepower quotient. So
we might have to see the video on this if it shows it driving.
From 6 to 170-ish horsepower. Sorry for stepping on your words. 11,000 RPM sleeper. I'm going to mute it. It's already muted. Oh, I have an ad. Yay, ads. Skip. Anyway. You know what?
It's pretty speedy. The sound's on, by the way.
Yeah, I left it on.
Swap this 50-year-old electric city car that I bought from this 96-year-old legend. This actually.
All right. Anyway, I thought that this was interesting enough to attach to the show because I wanted to see what a Hayabusa inside a cheese wedge would actually look and sound like. There's nothing. The author. Yeah, this is exactly what. See, I know somebody that used to swap out motors for motors and other things. And so I'm familiar with that screaming sound. And they once had a Hayabusa motorcycle that they would drive around. And boy, oh boy. So the social media algorithm delivered Vasily Builds into their eyeballs this week. And they've since been obsessed with the kid's ability to make anything, a lawn tractor, quad, shifter cart, or a jet boat, into a motorcycle swapped death trap. The fabrication skills and insight this guy has will take him a long way, and the author of this will now be watching the entire journey. You should probably too. It'll be worth your time, they suggest. I guess they've done other things, but this one is pretty amazing.
Yeah, that looks pretty interesting. I would not think that was capable of moving at the speed that it did.
Yeah, if you get in an accident in that, I don't suspect. Well, you may be able to walk away from it because you're thrown entirely away from it.
Yeah, that doesn't look like it has a lot of safety protections.
Yeah, the
Plus,
human
it probably
inside
didn't from the time frame it was built.
Right. Yeah, you're the crumple zone. All right, let's keep going. This next article is over in FourWheeltech as well. 2026 Kia EV9 Nightfall is the rare blackout package that actually improves performance. Latest car to offer a blackout package is the 2026 Kia EV9 and its new Nightfall edition. Hold on. Nightfall edition. All right. Just made its debut in the New York Auto Show, which we're going to talk about a little bit later because there's more stuff from the New York International Auto Show. This article, though, doesn't look like blackout to me, but okay. It's the Nightfall edition of the Kia EV9, so it's the larger SUV version. But the car is bright freaking white.
Yeah, I mean, it's not what I would think of, but I don't see a lot of badging or anything on it.
The badges are blacked out. Look. But normally in a blackout, everything is blacked out.
Like the whole vehicle is, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Daniel Golson over at jalopnik.com put the article together. Kia based the Nightfall edition. I think I don't know. That's just a riff edition on the EV9's dual motor all-wheel drive land trim level, which slots underneath the top spec GT line. It has gloss black accents for the nose, bumpers, skid plates, side skirts, roof rails, side mirrors, emblems, which all look pretty nice. New 20-inch rims have sweet 6-spoke design, and Kia is offering Nightfall in an exclusive Road Rider brown paint color that is sadly didn't send them photos. The shade is described as an eye-catching earth tone signature color that underscores the EV9's desire to venture off the beaten path. That thing will never hit dirt if it's ever owned by anybody. That right there is as close to dirt as it's ever going to get.
Exactly,
Ever.
through the windshield.
Ugh. Anyway, the Nightfall edition only comes with a black interior, which is too bad, but the seats do have a very cool asymmetrical Mondrian-esque stitch pattern. Okay.
Which is
You can't see it from
interesting
here.
because Mondrian is typically associated with primary colors, also black and white. But
So okay. They don't, there isn't anything else in this. This is such a tiny little whatever. They don't have the price of this, do they? Is that anywhere on this?
no, and I'm guessing they don't have it yet because it's a 2026 edition.
Yeah, maybe. And we don't know
They just
what the
talk about
pricing
the
is going to
tax
be
credit.
with.
Yeah.
Yeah, they talk about the tax credit, but they don't take anything else into consideration because they don't know what tariffs are going to do to.
But the brand hasn't said what the cost is going to be.
Right. So now that the EV9 is being produced at Kia's factory in West Point, Georgia, is Kia one of the ones that had the child labor
I think it
stuff?
was Hyundai. But
Hyundai, definitely.
I think they're owned by the same
Mhm.
parent company now.
Yeah. Everything old is new again, so you'll be able to get those chimney sweeps real cheap soon. Moving on. Next article is over in FourWheeltech. Get more power than a GTI. The 2026 Volkswagen Tiguan Turbo might be cool again. VW Tiguan's new SEL R-Line turbo trim makes an impressive 268 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque, and that's what it looks like. I kind of dig this. That color is pretty cool. Logan
Yeah.
K. Carter put this article together over at Jalopnik. What do you think of this thing?
It doesn't look like your standard vehicle.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. What is that little line for? Anyway, it was praised for its distinctive European refinement, premium interior, elevated driving experience. The GTI, the second generation of the Tiguan, ditched the niche appeal and went straight for the segment big dogs like the Toyota RAV4 and Honda CR-V. Toyota RAV4 is big dogs?
Yeah, for sales, probably.
Okay. Material quality and driving experience dropped down the priority list and were usurped by lower prices, bigger size, and a squishy ride. I'm not really into squishy rides.
But that's not this version.
So for its third generation, announced today, thank you for that. Was a great lead in. Look at that. You want to read this?
No.
Yeah. It's worth a try. Gains a new top SEL R-Line turbo trim level with more power than the ubiquitous GTI hot hatchback.
You need your microphone.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I had something stuck in my throat. You're talking about that microphone, so I can do ASMR.
Yes.
It's harder to do in the tiny mic. Anyway.
It just doesn't work with that.
Look at the back end of that car. Woo! You know, it actually looks like a slightly thicker Mazda 3.
Yeah.
So, but I really dig the color. I like the idea of 268 horsepower and a standard priced vehicle, but we don't know what the price is just yet, right? So to produce this extra power, VW fitted the Tiguan Turbo's 2.0 liter engine with a larger turbocharger, stronger pistons and connecting rods, a nitrided crankshaft, oil cooling for its pistons, and a variable valve lift. All Tiguan turbos come standard with 4-motion all-wheel drive, so none of that power should be wasted on wheel spin. VW claims third-generation Tiguan's weigh around 170 pounds less than the prior generation, thanks to increased use of lightweight materials. So, looks great interior-wise.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I'll be interested to see what the price point is.
Not a lot of noise behind the steering wheel. Got a central screen, a very large central screen compared to what other people have, short of probably the Mini Cooper, which is something we're going to be talking about next. So inside, the Top Dog Tiguan Turbo doesn't look all that different, but it gets genuine American walnut wood decor, which I don't really care about. Verena leather seats, which could be the modern equivalent of rich Corinthian leather of the 70s. Which was nothing but marketing BS. The controls on the steering wheel are operated by real buttons, thank goodness, instead of touch sensitive. I don't really like touch sensitive. I want that positive feel, the haptic feedback of it.
Yeah, you don't want to be like, did that actually
Did that work?
engage? And then you're getting into a crash or something.
That's right. So they talk about some more of this as the flagship model of the lineup, the Tiguan Turbo, comes standard with fancy features like heads-up display, 12-speaker Harman Kardon sound system, 12-way power adjustable front seats with massage and ventilation. Massage? Whatever. 30-color ambient lighting, 3-zone climate control, wireless charging. How much is this thing? No price.
No price because it's for 2026.
Come on. By this time in 2025, everything okay?
Yes, we had a critter alert.
Okay. So at any rate, this is pretty cool. I don't know. I like the design. They don't actually have the wheelbase for this. I don't know how big this thing is compared to things like a Mini Cooper or a standard Mazda, or, some other vehicle. But the previous generation Tiguan had 184 horsepower, and the new one has 84 more horsepower than last generation. So I dig that. So hopefully this thing is sub $40,000, but it's probably 60.
Yeah, the wheelbase, it says, is... Oh, that's in UK. Never mind. Not sure what that means.
It's not in freedom units.
Well, the 2024 is 109.9 inches.
And that's like a mini Countryman.
Just to give a starting point, I mean, I realize this is going to be the 2026, but...
Yeah. Okay. Let's keep going. I am compelled to stand up for the Mini Cooper Coupe as well, but this author here that is titled an entire article, I feel compelled to stand up for the Mini Cooper Coupe, or Coupe for us here in the States. We don't say coupe, but anyway, I love saying it because it riles people up. The hell is a coupe? Anyway, well, most so-called car enthusiasts would scoff at the fixed roof two-seater based on the already diminutive hot hatch. I think that this car has a lot going for it, and I like the idea of the little... It's basically like a diminutive TT coupe.
Oh yeah, that is kind of what it looks like.
Yep. So basically take a Mini Cooper and round the top off. Just shave some of it off and round it down toward the back, instead of making the boxy top. And
yeah, that's why it doesn't really look like a Mini.
Yeah. So it says, died 10 years ago. While most so-called car enthusiasts would scoff at the fixed two-seater based on the already diminutive hot hatch, from its 3-door hatch siblings, aside from shrink the greenhouse and ditch the back seats, they still smile every time that they see it. Admittedly, rarity. It's a rarity now. So the coupe was built using a Mini Cabriolet chassis as the starting point and increasing the rake of the windshield frame back a little bit, so the A-frame tilted down further, or the A pillars are tilted down further, and then the B and C pillars are shortened and the top rounded off. So the coupe's roof, or the coupe roof, is just over 1 inch shorter than the standard 3-door, but the sloped rear window makes the car look significantly smaller, and it does. So
I don't think I've seen one of these before.
yeah, they're pretty cool. I like them, but they're not around. So and so they're going to lack. Okay, every car in the United States after 2015 had certain electronics required, like backup camera and sensors and stuff, certain sensors. And I would have taken this in a heartbeat, although for whatever reason, the turbos, I don't know. Turbos on minis are really expensive.
Turbos on
Anyway.
most cars are really expensive.
Yeah, depending on where they stash them, it's even more expensive. But anyway, the integrated and hydraulically actuated rear spoiler makes the roof look a little bit like the coupe is wearing a backwards baseball cap, one that makes 88 pounds of downward force when deployed. And the author says that they appreciate that. So you could drive a whole lot faster. And the Mini Cooper's wheelbase, the tires are already out in the farthest four corners of the car. So that means that its center of gravity is really low, and then you shave everything off the top, and you put a spoiler on it. It means that everything is going to sit even tighter to the ground, making these things take turns like nobody's business. The only thing that I would have a problem with is all-wheel drive, and I don't believe that these were all-wheel drive. So it says...
right, I don't think they were.
Yeah. The coupe was about 172 pounds heavier than a standard model Mini with a stick. It's also a little bit slower from 0 to 60 with the longer wheelbase Clubman, but the difference is minimal enough. Mini at the time claimed the coupe to be the sportiest model yet, and even without the numbers to back up their claim, they kind of get it. I mean, it is a sporty, but honestly, all of the Minis I think are sporty-ish or sporty adjacent.
Yeah, you can see this zipping around some windy roads in a movie or something.
The JCW coupe, the JCW is John Cooper Works, was over $30,000 in 2012. But you can get that chili red example in 2025 for $8,900. They say a bargain at twice the price.
Yeah.
What do you think? Everybody should get one of these.
It's cute, yes.
But still, 2012, I don't know.
Different features on cars than currently.
Yeah. So, all right, let's keep on going. Our last article for today is over in Technology Today. Here are the coolest cars at the New York International Auto Show 2025, according to Engadget. This year marks the 125th anniversary of the New York International Auto Show. And despite concerns over tariffs, and you're going to hear about tariffs in perpetuity, I suspect, there are still a lot of manufacturers here showing off new models, including a handful of US and global debuts. So without further ado, let's go over it. It says the tickets were $22 per adult. And I don't know if somebody went there, huh? Anyway. April 18th to the 27th is when the International Auto Show is going, so you still have a week. And Sam Rutherford put this article together for Engadget.com. The 2026 Subaru Trail Seeker. That almost looks like a render.
Yeah, it really does.
But it's got to be because of the screens that it's driving on. So that's the 2026 Subaru Trail Seeker, which basically looks kind of like, well, all of their others. I mean, they all have
kind
that,
of like
except
their
longer.
Outback, I think.
Yeah, it looks like the Outback, but longer. And they even say it's updated styling, longer body, and improved off-road capabilities feel more suited to be to an outdoor lifestyle. I've actually been thinking about changing to that. Not this particular car, but a Subaru Outback or similar. They say now I admit the following the follow-up to the Solterra might not be the most exciting announcement, but this model will once again be based on the TNGA platform, which is shared with Toyota's BZ4X, which I like the Toyota BZ4X, but we'll have to see if they actually highlight it in there. So it looks kind of ruggedized. For whatever reason, these black fender wells have always made a car look more rugged than it is. I mean, oh my God, look at the color of that green back there. I love that car. I don't know what
that
car
looks
that
like
is,
it's
but I hope they actually-
VW, actually. Might be the same color as we just saw with the Tiguan.
It might be the Tiguan. All right. Let's keep going though. So Subaru, and then the 2026 Kia EV4. That does not look like the Kia EV4, does it? I guess it is.
It doesn't look like a Kia.
It doesn't look
or
like
a
a Kia,
car.
that's for sure. Price between $35,000 and $40,000. Kia improved iPedal 3.0 regenerative pedal power. So it's basically a bicycle, and you have to, and then to stop it, you have to stick your feet down on the ground.
That might
That's
be
why I say it
safer
makes
than
sense.
the cheese wedge.
But it is an EV, so it says thanks to existing cars like the EV6 and EV9, Toyota 2025 NYIAS, the company is looking to keep the momentum rolling with the debut of the EV4, which incorporates many of the headline features from its previous battery-powered offerings. I will never buy an EV if it takes 6 hours to charge it.
True, but is that your main objection to this car model?
Oddly enough, I dig it because it looks very cyberpunky.
It looks to me like it was in an accident. Like all the dimensions seem out of whack.
So
But
yeah,
I can see that. If it was like in
I-
gray or black or something, or
I
something.
get what you're saying.
Yeah.
So, and I think the reason why you say that is because it looks like a snub-nosed vehicle, like somebody just took a stick and whacked the front end in,
Yeah.
and then
it
somebody
looks like it had a
shaved the
front
top
end.
down,
Yes.
right? And then its butt is really like flat, like
It's like multiple cars going on, it seems.
pushed into. Yeah, it has like a Porsche front end, but then it has that little pinched
Like
rear
those,
end, like the coupe, like
yeah.
the coupe back end. Yeah. There's other cars that, like the CRV, I think it is, that pinches down triangularly, like towards the bumper. Yeah, I mean, I get it, but I kind of dig the angular side of this. Luckily, this is the last article for our show, so we can carry this on until, we're bored or whatever. This looks like a render as well.
Again.
Yeah, the Nightfall edition, which is in white for whatever reason. If I hear Nightfall and I see a white vehicle, I just want to smack the marketing.
Black, especially with
Blackout.
the blackout.
Yeah, just straight out blackout. Just this whole thing. This thing should be that. What is that blackout paint that is so
Vanta Black?
Vanta Black. This whole damn car should just be Vanta Black. If I get into this car, I should disappear from the planet.
Exactly.
When you call it Nightfall
That's what
edition.
it was advertised as.
Oh my goodness. Anyway, this stuff sitting on this screen floor with the moire pattern is making it surreal.
It's really, it makes it look like they're all renders.
Hard on my brain. What's happening? This car looks like it has enough space in it for activities. Like you could have a football team playing
the game
in the it's huge. Genesis X or Genesis 10, I don't know what they call it, the Grand Equator concept is easily one of the most striking cars. What the hell? It's like a station wagon and a Land Rover fell in love.
It's like almost like a muscle car on the front, and then
yeah,
I don't know what on the back, like what were those odd cars?
Yeah,
it has a funny name.
What is that?
You know what I'm thinking of? It's kind of like, a little triangular in the back.
What's the one where oh goodness, where they sing the song from Queen in there?
That's exactly the the car, but what is it?
Damn it! What is that car?
It has a funny name.
Yeah. Hold on. Not. It wasn't a Pinto.
No.
Was that a Pinto? No, it wasn't a Pinto. What is the other one? But it's from that era. Damn it. Yeah. But I get what you're. I'm picking up what you're dropping, AI. So look, it even gets a little bit more.
Oh, interesting.
It's kind of surreal. Look, it's ruggedized tires. This is like a car that you would put together if you're going to go and have a car battle somewhere, like Car Wars, and drive. It's almost Mad Max-ish. If it wasn't for the fact that it has this styling, it's not rugged enough, but these tires look like they would chew up anything that it drives over. Oddly enough, I kind of dig it. It's very steampunkish. What the hell? It has like guardrails for your cups. All right.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting.
it's
I
very
cannot find
steampunkish.
the type of car.
It's okay. We'll survive. Maybe somebody can post it in chat over on YouTube. All right. It's very steampunky. So the Lucid Gravity is another vehicle. Let's see. It says that it has a 400. Okay. Not only is the Gravity, that's what it's called, Lucid Gravity, the fastest charging EV outside of China, capable of sucking down up to 400 kilowatts. It was also boasts a top range of up to 450 miles, which you never get because you're supposed to only charge to 80%, and every year you lose 1 to 2% on the top end of your battery. And so if you're supposed to keep bouncing between 10% and 80%, it takes you 30 minutes to get to 80%, and then it takes you 2, 3, 4, 6 hours to get to 100%. You're never getting 450 miles of range. So literally chop 90 miles off the top.
Exactly. Was it a gremlin?
Gremlin. Yeah. Yes. That's what it was.
I found it by going to a link that was like the ugliest car. So I couldn't find it through the original thread.
That's funny. Hold on. What was Bohemian Rhapsody, and what was the car that they sing in?
That's what I was trying to find, but I couldn't find anything identifying the song.
Hold on. AMC Pacer. That's the one that you're really
I'm
looking
sorry.
for.
Yes,
it's the AMC Pacer. Yeah. So, okay. So this is the car. This is the Lucid Gravity. But this car is probably coming in close to $120,000 or more, I would say. But again, I don't think anybody should be buying EVs without fast swap battery tech. We need to make the market understand, or the manufacturers understand, that we need fast swap battery tech. I would rather pull into a gas station that is a fast swap battery station than to sit and use up a charging port for upwards of 6 hours out of my life in any given week. I do not want to dedicate 6 hours to charging.
I mean, you have to, plus you have to know whether you have any charging infrastructure in your area. Like if you don't have any that you've ever seen in your town, I would not even be considering EV. And even then, you still have to really think about your lifestyle.
Northern United States, you are screwed. The breadbasket of the United States, you are screwed. Unless you're on a major thoroughfare, you are screwed. And so I've had people go, well, then you wouldn't buy one. I know, but the predominant number of people, right? I mean, there's high occupancy locations where you don't need a car at all, right?
True,
so
but high occupancy locations could also be a problem because other people are using the chargers.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, it's just and we've just like, oh, this is great. I like charging my car for 8 hours every day. No. We should demand more. But here we are.
Watch
Hyundai
out.
says
They'll
that the
give us
TA.
10-hour charging.
Yeah, really. Don't make me change this contract again. So Hyundai Ioniq 5 NTA spec is apparently taking Sony's naming convention to a whole new level. The Hyundai Ioniq 5 NTA specs name stands out for, or TA stands for time attack. SUV crossover class with a time of 9 minutes, 32 seconds for Pikes Peak. So this thing just zipped up Pikes Peak. This has to be nothing more than a skin because there's a roll cage in there. There has to be a roll cage inside this thing. That's the spoiler that's on this thing to keep its butt on the ground.
Oh, okay. I mean, it looks very sporty.
And there's a spoiler in the front too. Anyway, it's basically a wing with wheels. Never just drive. No, just drive. Thanks.
Right,
Maserati
anytime you need to
GT2.
race up a mountain, that might be the car for you.
Yeah, exactly. Maserati GT2, is it Stradale or Stradale? I don't know. Anyway, it's a Maserati, basically a road legal version of the GT2 race car, which itself is based on the truly outrageous MC20 supercar. And as you'd expect, it has some pretty impressive specs. It's a pretty car. It looks like a Corvette. 0 to 60 times in 2.8 seconds, despite it only having rear-wheel drive.
I thought it looked a little bit like an Aventador.
Yeah, they all have that kind of.
I know, it's kind of a
Aventador
common
is a little
shape.
bit more angular. Yeah, you got to get those aerodynamics on there. So it's got these doors that flare out. Pretty cool. 1924 Chrysler 6 prototype. Debuted back in 1924 New York Auto Show. Granted, this thing is ancient, but at the time it was state-of-the-art, boasting the industry's first four-wheel hydraulic brakes, along with a six-cylinder engine that produced a whopping 68 horsepower.
Oh, way more than the cheese wedge.
So after factoring in inflation, it had a sticker price of $29,000, which actually doesn't seem too bad. This thing is I'll buy it for $29,000.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't know they had like old vehicles at these shows. I thought it was all about what's coming up.
Yeah, I don't know how often they do that either. I haven't been to an auto show in years and years and years. So they say the story has been updated to add information to the intro on public admission days and ticket prices, but it's like $22 and it goes for another 7 days. They have some more cars in the show, but probably not at this source right now. We'll always check back and see. I mean, we got another 7 days worth of this show underway. So, I mean, they have some.
Right, we'll probably
cars all
see
over
more
the place.
articles for next week's FourWheeltech.
Yep. But that's it for today. Yay! FourWheeltech is done. So we are going to stomp on the thin pedal on the right, and that's going to accelerate us to FourWheeltech over at ohmtown.com, where you should go and become a citizen because, well, it's a lot of fun to talk about this stuff when you come and hang out with us Monday through Friday at around 7 p.m. And then on Saturday and Sunday, we typically start around 4 p.m. and do an hour and a half of show. But I don't know. We ended up doing long shows today and yesterday. I'm not quite sure why, but we did. You want to say bye? Oh, great. Sentient AI from on high.
Bye-bye, hometown citizens. Thanks for joining us for this week's FourWheeltech. We'll have another episode next weekend, but come back tomorrow for our regular non sequitur news.
Yeah, non sequitur news, where the articles are taken from everywhere across ohmtown.com. We have 50 channels that information is aggregated into from various sources, and then we parse them personally. Back in 2022, I opened this up to everybody else to use it, and we don't charge. We don't have a mandatory fee. It's not a subscription service via Patreon or anything like that. Although I guess I could. I don't know. Sentient AI is like, well, duh. Anyway, we're going to get out of here. We'll see you tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern. That's where ohmTown is oriented in time and space, but there are no terrestrial boundaries of ohmTown. We are powered by the electrons at the confluence of science, technology, and society merging into the internets. We're out of here. Bye-bye.